what have you heard from your constituents, Dan, over and over and over and over again about taxes?
They're too high.
They're too high.
Yeah.
People are done.
Welcome to Around Will County, December 2025. Today we have the pleasure of welcoming Dan Butler, a member of the Will County Board. He will lead us through the intricacies of passing a county budget. Also, please excuse our audio quality on this podcast. It will be corrected for the next one. Always remember to please like and subscribe. Leave comments on this episode and on what you would like us to talk about in the future.
Hello, everybody. Here we are, early December, doing another podcast at the Secret DNT. With me, of course, Dr. Brian Egan, Mr. Dick Tyler, and we have a very, very special guest today, Dan Butler, from the Will County Board, District 3. Hello. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for being here today.
My pleasure.
So, Dan, there's a lot going on at the Will County Board nowadays.
Always.
Yeah. And what do you think? What's on your mind?
Well, I think that if the executive was not able to break a tie, both groups would have to work together much better.
Now, Dan, I'm going to find it hard to believe you're telling me there's partisan politics at the Will County Board.
Well, there had been in the past.
Okay.
But right now, you know, they have the vote.
Yeah.
So
Except for now.
let's go back a little bit in
Sure.
time and explain that the Will County Board has 22 members on it. And right now there are 11 in the Democratic caucus and 11 in the Republican caucus. And then the county executive, much like the vice president of the United States, gets to vote if in the event of ties. And the Will County executive then typically votes with the Democratic vote, since she's a Democrat also.
Some may say that the Democrats vote with her.
Oh, well, that's an interesting thing. Yeah. And she has some veto power in there. Can you explain that a little bit?
So if we do happen to bring a motion forward and we get a majority, simple majority, if she doesn't like it, like you found at 43rd Street,
That would be the expansion up there in Hawthorne.
right? We voted not to do it, and then she vetoed it.
She vetoed it. Does that mean it goes dead or it has to come back? Or what happens after the veto?
Well, it just moves forward in that case. Because the motion there was to stop the project.
Oh, so it does depend on the vote. What exactly is in the language they vote on?
Oh, yeah.
Wow. That's got to be interesting.
And as far as that project goes too, my understanding is maybe there were some communications downstate. And then there was a House Bill 250 that came up that says in the event the municipality wants your property, they can just take it.
Oh,
And
so,
that's,
so what you're talking about is the, when they tried to pass quick take?
Yes.
Yeah. Which I'm against that.
Sure.
It's kind of like eminent domain.
Except way more.
Eminent domain gives you the ability to kind of negotiate up front, where quick take, they just pay you what they think it's worth. They do the project, and then you still could go back and try to get more money after they've taken your property and done their project down.
That sounds very dangerous.
It certainly takes away a lot of leverage for the homeowner.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's very concerning. I think less government is more, right? I don't know if we're wanting to give government more power.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
But I believe that is one of the bills on JB's desk now.
Which one?
The 250.
I'm not even sure if that passed. Well, I guess yeah.
We have an IT person here that is very good at Googling as we move forward. They're looking to see how my House Bill 250 is passed. Or,
Yeah, that would be sad.
yeah,
Be very sad.
100%. But I did see they're going after retirement, the tax retirement in the state of Illinois. They're just, gosh, Dan, it just doesn't seem like there's enough money in the coffers, no matter how much they tax.
Well, the RTA has dipped into all the county's pockets
and that being the Regional Transit Authority in Chicago, Cook County.
Yep. And they needed to broaden that tax base to help cover the bills.
Yeah.
So we've been, I guess, happy to oblige them. And because they had rearranged some of the other taxes, the motor fuel tax and stuff going towards that now we can help out some more by increasing the amount of money we pay in tolls.
Sure. I heard about that. And your packages being delivered to your door and your online vetting is being taxed, right? I mean,
I think that did not go through.
that package did not, but I think the online has.
The online betting, it did.
Yeah. So look, I think we're kind of leading into something here, Dan. There seems to be a lot of stress about the recent budget proposal there in the Will County Board and moving forward with how much money we should spend in Will County.
Exactly. So we had to vote on the levy.
Please explain to me briefly what a levy is.
So
Said something hold back water.
So, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's something that good old boys don't go.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
Whiskey and rye.
Whiskey and
Yeah.
yeah. So, basically that's the amount of money they collect in taxes.
Okay.
They levy that money, that tax money against the taxpayers
Yes.
in order to accommodate their budget.
Perfect. So that is what the Will County Board can do. It can go out and use a levy to raise money off Will County taxpayers, namely real estate property. Is that right? Is it a tax to real estate property?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a real property tax.
Yeah.
A levy.
Yep.
And that can help fund your county budget.
Exactly.
Which then gives you roads to drive on and police to
It can, right? That
give
money
you
can be
your
used.
subpoenas.
Like,
Well, a lot of that money is already covered. Doesn't, we don't need to raise the taxes to be that. There's funds that are always going to be there to cover those services.
and those funds would come from sales tax.
Some of it, sales tax, licensing fees.
So there's no shortage of taxing bodies.
Right. The key here is we believe, the Republicans and one Democrat, believe that there's enough surplus in the cash reserve.
Okay.
That we cover this without going back for the taxpayers for more money.
Well, Dan, let's go back a little bit. The Will County budget is roughly $800 million a year. Roughly, give or take a few cents. Right? In that area. In the 2026 proposal, the budget is prepared and presented by the economy executive. Is that correct? Correct. And that's Jennifer Levine. Happy to know. She brought forward a budget in August. Is that correct? Right on that pen?
Yes.
Okay. And she brought it to the board members, the Will County board members.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And what happened?
It wasn't well received. I mean, you probably seen Steve, he wanted to cut 10% across the board.
Steve Ballard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that might not be feasible.
No, it isn't, but he probably meant it as a negotiating starting point.
Right.
Right. Right. But he wanted to make it clear that he would like to see the taxes go down.
Okay.
The levy be reduced. I think that's what he's saying.
Okay. Yeah.
So, and other people had expressed, that they did not want the levy to go up.
Right.
But at that time, they had to vote.
They didn't vote.
The Democrats.
They had to vote to accept the budget.
Yeah, they had no reason to expect that anything different would happen.
And that's because you're saying 11 Democrats could vote for the budget. Didn't really matter what or how the Republicans voted at that point.
11 could vote against.
Right. But then it would go to Jennifer Burkina-Trott as a final vote, and that would give them 12, and that would pass.
And then, and technically she would be the one that would make the budget
And then,
and know that she can appropriate those funds to her 11 board members
that's a very powerful position to think I can write this budget and give it to my board and it's going to get passed.
Well,
And I want to say that I am very sympathetic to you and all the county board members because it is a monster to try to understand this, apply this, make sure you're spending the money correctly, make sure it's going to the money where it should go. I mean, this is a momentous task, and and all the county board members really should be,
Well,
we just want to say thank you for doing what you do.
Yes.
appreciate that, but I just like to keep it simple.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand there's a budget, and I don't want to take away any services from anyone.
Sure.
But if we can meet that budget by using money we already have and not taxing people more, and that's what we should be doing. And I think that's what all the Republicans want.
And then
And one Democrat.
one Democrat.
I think one of the questions though is, can, let's say, the sheriff's department, do they need $78 million a year? Could they get by with 76?
Well, at this point, we're not arguing that.
Well,
I mean,
that's
that's
maybe what,
but maybe we could do that. But
and
that's-
then there's your $2 million bucks.
But we don't need to go to law enforcement. We have a surplus.
I was just using that as an example and trying to get under his skin.
I just want to go on the record. The deputies are grossly underpaid, overworked. We need more money. We need more money. I just want to go on the record for that right there.
Maybe they could skip one
Yeah,
snowfall,
no,
don't plow the road.
Yeah, okay, maybe that.
Okay.
So, no, I can't, of course. But when you're dealing that size budget, there's got to be waste somewhere. You know that. We all know that.
Of course, there's a lot of capital projects that we don't have to do.
Sure. Sure.
I know there in the past, like
Again, I was just
Summer-
no.
but in the past, like somehow $200,000 gets moved over into this program, which is dial-a-ride.
Okay.
Or Accessville County. It used to be dial-a-ride. It was put there to entice other townships to join that weren't participating.
Okay.
Well, where did this $200,000 come from? Nobody asked the board, but they don't have to, do they? Because we only appropriate funds. But you can hear everyone's like, well, why don't they make the cuts? What difference does it make? Our cut is the bottom line.
Yeah.
This is how much you got. So somehow $200,000 was found and applied, right, and given away to people in order to entice them to join this program.
I want to go back a little bit
Sorry.
to something you talked on committees. There's a little confusion. You are, as a county board members, are on committees.
Mhm.
You don't have to be on committees.
No,
You can volunteer to be on committees.
you could show up at a committee because you can't volunteer.
I think you're voluntold.
Is that how it is, Dan?
Well,
How do I get on a committee if I'm on the county?
so if you want to get on a committee, your caucus leader would recommend that you be put on that committee,
Okay.
and then the speaker would make the final decision whether or not you got on there. And they try to work something out. They get so many Democrats and Republicans. Obviously, when the Democrats are in charge, they always have the Democrats on that committee than the Republicans.
Okay.
There might be a couple committees where we actually have an edge,
Okay.
but you cannot just
Get on a committee. No, you're put on there. More or less.
Yeah.
And that pays extra?
Nope.
But it's extra work.
I don't know how you approach it. Yeah.
So why would you be on a committee?
Well, I mean, I like to think that people are on a committee because they care,
Okay.
and that's why they do it. And I mean,
Are you on a committee?
I'm on quite a few committees.
Okay.
I think during the first 2 years I was on 9 committees.
9 committees. Okay. And no extra pay.
No.
But all that extra work.
Yeah. Well, when I decided to run, and I knew they had their meetings on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I had to reconcile that on Tuesdays and Thursdays of every week that I was not working at my regular job.
Sure.
And so I dedicated those days. So
Yeah, a lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work. If you're going to do a county board position and be committed to the people you're serving, it's a lot of work.
it is.
Are there some county board members who are on no committees?
I don't know if there's any county board members that are on no committees. I
Okay.
think that there are some that are on very few.
Okay. It's not really spread out evenly or.
For me, it's hard to tell because people may be on a committee or may not, and they show up and they sit at the table sometimes. So I don't always know
Who's there and who's not.
But
Yeah.
they would not be a voting member of that committee, but they could
Well,
chime in.
so technically, there really is no voting at committees, right? Because
Right,
you
when they-
can't vote on any actionable items.
Well, you
So, but
couldn't you vote on the topics that you want to bring up to the board?
yeah, you can vote on making recommendations. Yeah, and that's where you have some influence because you can, so any board member really could come up and say, hey, I'm not on this committee, but I want to speak. It would be an advisory. It would be unproductive not to let them speak because when it goes to the floor, they're going to speak.
Right.
So you'd want to take it into consideration that, and they could influence the committee.
And then the committee can take their decisions that were voted on amongst the committee members to the board for yes or no approval.
Right.
And that's supposed to streamline the process.
Okay.
Exactly.
Good. Well, I mean, that's
And-
important.
And we are asking are you certified parliamentarian?
I'm part of the parliamentarian organization. I am not a certified parliamentarian, but as far as the county board goes, they probably think that I am.
Okay.
I do spout a lot of rules.
Could you like to follow?
Take out your little book, Robert's
Rules.
Rules of Orders,
Yeah.
right there.
Well, they're written for a reason.
They really are. And, when it first came to board, before I joined it, there was a big argument. Nobody wanted to know. So the guy wanted to do this, and the other one's like, "You can't do that." I'm like, "We got to find out." And they're like, "Well, ask Nick." I don't know who Nick was. I wasn't even part of the board, but they go and they come back, and then all of a sudden they said Nick said this, so that's what happened. I was like, "Wow."
I want to be.
It was just Nick. Yeah, sounds like he's got a lot of power, And then I realized that it's simple. Like if you're gonna play chess and you don't know the rules, how good of a player are you gonna be?
Correct.
So I did, I joined, I took a test, I passed it. I went to St. Francis. They asked me to do a lecture on,
Parliamentary procedure?
yeah, specifically, Robert's
Robert's Rules of Order?
And so, it is good. I mean, I'm not saying that it makes you invincible, but, there was times, and I'll just give you an example. We were fighting to keep the old county courthouse. Okay. And we wanted this person from the Historical Preservation Society to come out and talk. Well, he had maybe an 8 or 10-minute presentation. They're only given 3 minutes. So the executive says, "All right, sir, sorry, you're going to have to wrap it up," and he couldn't. And so she said, "Okay, well, that's all the time you get." And then member Logan got up and he said, "I'd like to make a motion that he get more time to talk." And she says, the executive says, "No." She's moving on. And I go, "Point of order." And she's just like, "We're not doing this, Mr. Butler." Point of order. And then she says, "We're moving on." I said, "Point of order." And then her attorney whispers, and she says, "Fine, Mr. Butler, what is your point of order?" And then I was able to say, "I believe Member Logan was asking to suspend rules so this gentleman could have more time to present." She goes, "Well, he didn't say that."
Yeah.
And he said, "That's what I meant." And so then she had to take a vote. And then 18 people said yes to let him talk. So, at least you had some power in the meeting if you know the rules. Obviously, we know how that fight went.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that was a kind of the battle victory of the future.
yeah, we won the battle, but not the war.
Yeah. And I want to go back. Now, you brought up too that you vote on the budget, which allocates funds to different departments. However, once that budget is approved, you have absolutely zero authority how that money is spent. That is done by the department heads.
Correct.
Correct. So there's no micromanaging of budgets for departments.
So when they say that, like, we ask for cuts, you got to give them to us. It's twofold. One, technically, yes, you could say the finance committee should review this. Okay. But it's also like a political thing to say, where should we make the cuts? So that those groups can come out and come after you for taking away, displacing old people, or, making it so that the sheriff can do their job or something like that. But, that's what they want us to try to come out and say.
Fear mongering?
Fear mongering.
Okay.
But it's just political points, because we wouldn't say that. Right?
Sure.
We're not going to say that. But whatever it is, that's what they would do with that.
Right.
But the reality is, it's not our job. We don't know the day-to-day activities. We're not in, with the deep understanding how that department works. That's why we don't do that. That's why the department heads who actually run the departments have to figure that stuff out.
Sure.
How do we service the people, but still be able to meet this budget?
I think one of the questions that I have, that I think may be in the front of mind for many people, is that given recent activities with Doge and in Minneapolis, or in Minnesota now, monies that are given, say, I again wasn't able to follow it that closely, but the cannabis tax funds are going to be given to some, for lack of a better way to describe them, NGOs.
You mean here?
Yeah. So who has vetted these NGOs that the money's going to? Are they not just going to take 10% or 20% of the money they're given and then farm it out to another law firm or whatever they do for the illegal alien, or legal aliens assistance fund?
Yeah. So yeah, that wasn't there was actually money going to that fund or another group just like that.
And then there's another one for food for old people. I don't know what the name of it was, but that's what it came down to. But these are NGOs in our area that are given money.
Strictly from the cannabis tax?
Yes.
And the cannabis is one of the few funds that we can actually allocate to different, areas.
But this is a microcosm. That's $2 million out of an $800 million budget. So how many other of these NGOs are there, and who has vetted the NGOs to say that they're just not skimming money off the top and refunneling the money like they did with USAID?
Yeah. And it's interesting that you say that, because that is definitely our direction for the next year. After we've been, attacked and told, hey, where do you want to cut? So, where is this? But okay, you want us to do that? We will make it a full-time job, to do that. But we were always told we can't tell the departments how to spend their money. Can only set the budget.
But I agree with that. I mean, I think the county board should allocate funds and give parameters, and that's overseen by the county executive, who says, yes, this department needs this much money. But I don't think the county board should micromanage day-to-day operations. That could potentially be a nightmare.
No, and we're talking about, it's like the NGOs.
But that's true. The only NGOs that the county has is through the cannabis fund. I don't think there's any NGOs that comes out of the county budget, per se. Would that be correct?
I don't know where all that money goes, to be honest with you.
The 800 million.
Yeah, the 800 million goes a lot of different places.
To a lot of different departments. I just wouldn't see where. Okay. Do you know something, Doctor?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But nobody seems to. That
It's
was one of my
concerning.
issues.
Concerning.
It's concerning when when $1 billion of my money. Now, I wish it was my money, but $1 billion of our money got sucked over to Somalia.
Oh, well, I think we're definitely concerned about that. Yes. It just shows you the amount of waste, the amount of fraud, the amount of money that's not accounted for.
Nobody knew about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
$1 billion.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, who's the governor up there?
Somebody.
I can't remember. I can't remember his name.
Somebody knew about it.
Tim something. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody knew about it, right?
Yeah.
Somebody knew about it.
I think there's going to be an investigation.
So let's get back to our county budget, $800 million. It's prepared and brought to the board for review in August. Is that correct? Right around August. And that's presented by Jennifer Bertino Trent. And what happened then?
Well, then it goes to a series of meetings at the finance committee.
Okay.
And, when they knew that we weren't going to accept their budget, they wanted to know where the cuts were. And the group will say offered $25 million in cuts. And
The finance committee offered $25 million in
members of the finance committee and other board members. Because remember, anybody can come to the meeting,
Okay.
and basically we were mocked.
What do you mean you were mocked? I know.
Well,
Who mocked that?
The chief of staff, coming out there and pretty much telling us, well, yeah, you want to stop court cases from, being tried, and you're going to evict old people from their homes without notice, and this and that. And nobody said any of that.
That's also not a part of the budget you were voting at.
Well, it would be included in the budget departments. If that's all part of the state attorney's office, and that's all in there.
Is that out of the corporate budget, or is that out of health and safety?
But it's all out of the total budget.
But when they're saying putting people out of Sunny Hill or whatever,
that would be in the $800 million budget.
that would be in this 500 million of the 800 million budget, not the 200 million of the.
But a lot of things they said weren't true.
So that's how they can gaslight the public,
Right.
is by threatening with, well, you won't have policemen, you won't have the county sheriff coming to your house because we won't have enough. Well, no, he's funded in a different bucket. We're not even talking about that.
The reason they started talking about that is because, they wanted to know, like, well, where could we possibly have cut? We've cut everything we could cut. And some of the people were just, well, if you want to go there, the nursing home loses $3 million a year. It serves 157 people. Now, do I want to get rid of the nursing home? No, but I sure would like to find out a more effective way to run it. And I would like there to be a way to handle a lot more than 157 people, because 157 people doesn't really serve the public that well, but there was other things that they said, and they basically wasn't received well. But at this point, we had 12. And now they were listening. So then there was a series of special meetings, which, I only missed one meeting all year. And it was the last special meeting. And that's where, when I proposed the estimated levy with 0% increase, it would have been the job of that committee to try to make some cuts and some ideas on how we could meet that. But they didn't. They just said, this is the budget. We'd like to add new construction. And then they re-proposed it.
I'm a little confused. If we could go back to August, this budget is brought forward.
Mm-hmm.
Did you not know at that time it was $2.8 million short? Or did you not know?
It wasn't short until the end, when we said, they weren't making any more cuts, and we approved the levy without an increase. So then all of a sudden it became short.
I believe the original budget was with a 1.75 levy increase
to match the budget. But the budget was cut 25 million, or was never cut 25 million?
No, she said before it came to us that she already cut like 22 million out of it.
Is that true?
I don't know. I don't know. If you ever looked at a budget book, it's not very detailed.
So I do have to say, to prepare her, and I didn't do anywhere as much as I wanted to, but there's not a total. When I look at the Will County budget on the 2026 proposal, it's not total. Is that correct?
Right.
Why?
Oh, wait.
What is that? Did I overlook something? Because when I went and looked at the hundreds of pages of the 2026 proposed budget, there was no total budget that I saw on the Will County website. Just didn't have a total, but you're saying it is in a $750 million rate.
Yeah, 750 million.
Okay. And the proposal that is out there published now on your website is the one that you voted on as the board.
Mm-hmm.
So that's agreed to. Have you funded that budget?
Well, we're still the 2.8 million short.
Sure.
And we're going to have a special meeting tomorrow.
Okay.
And, we tried to do this during the last meeting. but there was just so much legal mumbo jumbo. They made it seem as if we could do it whenever, First they said we couldn't do it, then they said we could do it. We had a way of funding it, and we're gonna fund it. So we just figured,
Can I jump in there?
yeah,
There was a memo, I think that a lot of people have referred to, that was put out. And it was very concerning to a lot of people. This memo was put out by Mike Mahoney,
Mhm.
literally saying, well, could you read a paragraph of this? Like,
yeah. Let's see,
so this memo was put out on what date?
November 20th.
Okay. When there was some question how you were going to fund the 2.8 million shortfall of a $750 million budget.
Yeah.
And this memo says,
So let me just put out the fair monitoring part.
okay,
The executive office is acutely aware of the uncertainty this potential shutdown could have on the county government.
over $2.8 million shortfall of a $750 million budget.
With a $94 million.
And we'll get to the reserves. Yes, we'll get there.
Well, and this would be imposed by them, not us.
Right.
Without an approved balanced budget, our residents will feel much of the brunt of this when 9/11 calls may go unanswered
911 calls may go unanswered.
or not responded to.
Okay.
When the court system effectively shuts down, and when our nursing home residents will have to find somewhere else to live with no notice, as if they would just be plucked from their beds,
Thrown out in the street.
dragged out. I mean, and you can't evict somebody who hasn't paid their rent for 6 months for about 18 months.
And what a disappointment and a disservice to the people of Will County to put out that kind of information. Very, very
Yeah, it was very
Concerning.
irresponsible.
okay. And I think that needed to be cleared up, because what have you heard from your constituents, Dan, over and over and over and over again about taxes?
They're too high.
They're too high.
Yeah.
People are done.
Especially when you start getting older and you start going into a fixed budget.
Yes.
It means everything. It means you'll have to move.
$100 a month could mean paying the electric bill or not. Right?
Right.
Oh, yes. People are done with taxes.
And I think that in the state of Illinois, we recently ran ahead of New Jersey and are now the highest property tax state in the country. And basically, we're renting our houses from the state for on average $1,000 a month ish.
Yes. And I personally want to applaud you and the Will County board members who said no more taxes. We're done. We're done. And that was 11 Republicans, and you got one Democrat to join you in that mental, in that thought crowd.
One brave Democrat.
And who was that Democrat, by the way?
The Destiny Ortiz.
Thank you,
The-
Destiny.
Yes. Fiscally responsible Democrat.
Thank you. Thank you, Destiny. Enough is enough. Taxes are enough. And now let's get to Dr. Egan's point. The Will County Board has a reserve fund. How much money is in that reserve fund?
84.
84 or 94?
Oh, I'm sorry. $94.8 million.
In reserves,
Yes.
bank account,
Mhm.
savings account, rainy day fund.
Well, technically, the rainy day fund should have been about 72 million.
Now, what do you mean by that, Dan?
So currently, there's more money in cash reserves than required by our own ordinances.
So
So it's a no-brainer.
we have, yeah, wouldn't that make sense? We have almost
That's what it's there for.
$22 million in excess in our rainy day fund. And to balance the 2026 budget, we needed to use about 10% of the extra, or $2.8 million.
Exactly.
But the Democrats, 10 of them, and Jennifer Bertino-Tremont wanted more tax money.
Exactly.
Okay, so I want to be fair. Were Jennifer Bertino-Tremont's concerns valid?
No.
Okay, then explain why.
because there's a big excess.
On large.
Yeah.
excess.
And there's been a surplus for 4 or 5 years,
Mhm.
steadily. So it's not like it went from, 25 to 30 to 25.
Okay.
It pretty much stayed up to 30.
Okay, well, let me
Now at 33.
try to put on my Democrat hat here. If we're short 2.8 million this year, Is it potential to be short 8 million next year? 20 million the year after that? Is this a compounding problem?
No,
And why would you say no?
because they're only short because they increased the budget. If they didn't increase the budget, they wouldn't need more money.
So there was a budget increase from 25 to 26.
Mhm.
Do you know how much?
I'm not sure exactly how much.
Was it more than the 2.8 million?
I don't know.
You don't know? But there was an increase.
I mean, honestly, the thing I focused on was the fact that we had the money. We didn't have to go back to the taxpayers. We could accommodate the executive's budget with the money we already had, and we didn't have to take more.
Okay.
And I think the other thing that needs to be kind of pointed out too is that the county fraction of your tax bill is like this much.
Very small.
Very small. The majority is your schools.
And that's one of them. 80%
So
of
they do need the heated pool and the sauna with the marble floor.
I don't know what school you went to. I'm
Wow.
sure you in this school. I did not have any of those things.
No, mine didn't have air conditioning. Didn't even have screens in the window.
Yeah,
But you would think they did.
you would think they did, yeah. But again, I have to compliment you and the Republican board members and those that were responsible enough. And that had to be a tough battle, and you guys are taking a lot of heat. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there,
A lot.
a lot of politics over this budget. I think sometimes it becomes a battle of, left versus right and Republican versus Democrat. And boy, I'd sure like to think one day we could get back and, kind of like what you guys are doing and protecting the people.
Right.
And again, I have nothing but respect for all of you that stood firm and said, no new taxes.
I think it's a historic moment.
Yeah,
where
it should be.
we could actually not raise the taxes.
Mhm.
Mhm. Yeah. And show fiscal responsibility. Yeah. I think we're breaking the ground here.
Yes. Unfortunately, I think that downstate Illinois, we have no chance of taxes staying the same.
No.
And your school
Yeah.
part was, you have no chance of that staying the same.
Right. And Dr. Egan, that's so important because what we're talking about here with Dan today is Will County. Will
Which
County
is
taxes. Very small.
very
minute
small part of your
the
property
statewide.
tax bill.
Yeah. So your state sale tax is still there. All your taxes that you're paying for outside the scope of the Will County budget will still be there and probably going up, So for you guys to hold the line and kind of say enough's enough. Again, I personally think you should be applauded. All of you.
Absolutely.
Would you agree?
I agree.
So,
I appreciate that.
Doctor, what do you got?
Nothing.
Yeah, I know there's a lot more you wanted to talk about. What are you thinking?
Well, I would like to bring up the solar companies that are coming up.
Okay.
I mean, first, let me say, I think solar is a great thing. It really is. I mean, I love it that you can get energy from the sun. But at what cost?
Mhm.
Because we got townships that are fighting for their land, rich farming land that they're losing to all these solar companies. Some of them from Spain, India, different countries coming here, wanting to put these solar facilities. I cannot say solar farm. That makes people angry. Solar facilities. And they're going to get subsidies from the federal government. Well, not anymore.
I was going to say, I think a lot of these have been cut, though, right? A lot of the subsidy money for today.
For I think we got let's see, one more month.
End of the month.
End of the month. But there was one company that came out here and they were it was going to be a $780 million project, and they were going to stand to get $288 million in subsidies from the American people. And nobody's electric bill is going to go down.
Right.
So I have a problem when we're going to pay for other companies to pretty much charge exactly what we pay, like penny for penny, right? They're going to sell it to what we're paying for. And nobody's electric bill goes down because of the surplus, right?
Would the county get any tax revenue from a solar farm?
They do.
And what would that amount to?
They do. You know what? It's a little bit better than the farmland.
Mhm.
You know,
Like the it's not worth what we're giving up, valuable farmland that we cannot recreate. And once these solar panels are put in place, it's not easily removed.
A lot of times farmers will, they'll get mad because, people call farmland vacant land. But once that land gets used by solar facility, and we start putting like thousands of acres of solar facilities up, those farmers go away. That land will never go back to the farmer. It will never be farmed again. What it will do someday is probably become a warehousing,
How long before these panels are obsolete? I think the solar field is rapidly changing.
So that's 100%. Like when I go to Washington, D.C. and I meet with NICO and, go to all the different, agencies, even under Biden, they said solar was not going to handle the infrastructure that's coming.
Right.
That we had to switch to modular nuclear. But basically mini nuclear plants. That's what they've been talking
That
about.
should be the way of the future.
And I've heard nothing but good things.
Nothing but good things.
Yeah, State Senator Sue Resin was a big advocate of
They've been powering.
modular.
Yep.
They've been powering aircraft carriers and submarines for 50 years, and they're doing fine.
Yeah, and Sue's a wonderful person. She does a great job. Sue,
Takes it very serious.
yeah, she represents you as well. Yeah,
So these are big money makers for these companies to come out there, especially when 30 to 35% of the project is paid for by the American people.
what concerns me is you mentioned a lot of them from overseas, right? So they come over and kind of soil our soil, and then they go back to where they're from, and we're stuck with the byproduct. Is that
No, well, there's a lot of things. Some people think, depending on the solar panels, if they got cadmium in them, yes, they could poison the soil if they break and drain in. That could be dangerous. Some say with all the poles, the zinc poles, that can poison the soil, especially in some of the areas where the water table is only 15 inches, from the surface.
Yeah. Which is a lot of Will County.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah,
We have some shallow aquifers. We got a group of people out in Green Garden, and they are fighting tooth and nail for their land.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hope they win.
Well, let me just caution you. You do have a farmer right there to the right of you. Let's get a little bit of input from this guy. What do you think?
I have a question regarding it. I understand the concern about the farm ground, and of course it's a subject where you can see, or I can see, both sides of it. Farmer owns this land. He's making maybe $300 an acre, $250 an acre off of that land, and all of a sudden the solar company comes in and said, by the way, we'll pay you $3,000 to $4,000 an acre every year. And these solar panels, after 20 years or whatever length of time you're willing to sign a contract for, they're removable. They're not like the wind turbines where, got massive amounts of concrete. And anyway, I can see it from that standpoint. But my question to you, Dan, is with all the warehouses we have in Will County anymore, how would the Will County Board feel about solar panels on the roofs of parking areas or warehouses? Or
That's what a lot of people say that, but the way they design these solar facilities is they want them to be as close to high transmission lines as possible.
I understand.
And so that's why all this farmland just outside of this urban sprawl is so appealing to them.
Sure. I understand.
So there has to be an infrastructure in place to make it beneficial for them. They can't be putting new ground or new lines in the ground or anything like that. There's certain areas that are better for farmland.
It's the distance from that they have to transfer the power. Because when you transfer electricity through the lines, you lose some of it.
Yeah.
So they got to maximize their profits.
Sure. My concern, I guess, is, as technology changes, how obsolete are these farms going to be and how quick are they going to be obsolete? And then again, we're left with that eyesore, abandoned.
So this there was a report saying that Will County was on course to lose more farmland than any other county in the United States, except for in Arizona, Maricopa.
And is that because of the expansion and
Yeah, well,
ability?
there's a couple things going on. Like I said, it starts out as a whisper, but pretty soon here it comes a steam engine.
Mhm.
They still talking about that airport.
Yeah, kind of torn.
They're still talking about it, and farmers would like to have their land back. Nobody wants that airport,
Yep.
except for quite a few people in Cook County.
Oh my God.
They probably own the land.
There's a lot of blind trusts set up on those, so you'll never find out who actually owns that land that was sold for the airport.
And
My other question with the solar and the, maybe relaxing the regulations on the modular nuclear is the data center. So when they put the new data centers in Minooka, or Shannon, they're going to suck up a lot of electricity, increase demand, which with your supply is static. That back in civics in high school, supply and demand, the price goes up.
Exactly, and that's not all it sucks up. It sucks up a lot of water,
Mm-hmm.
and our aquifers are already low. Where are they going to get all this water?
well, these solar farms require water.
No, the data center.
Oh, the data centers.
For
Well,
Yeah.
cool
the
it.
solar farms do too, but not.
Anyway, near the data centers. But what about there? Are we back down to the micro nuclear facilities? And
Absolutely.
seems to be a great option. Yeah. Good.
And that's something that, we've been fighting tooth and nail. I know that some members of the board would wish that they would take the ability to issue a special permit away from the board so that these solar companies could come and just pick up their permits and slap their facilities wherever they want.
Well, now correct me if I'm wrong. Is there not a state law that they can do that? They can actually override the county and the state can issue that permit?
I don't think so.
Oh, I thought there was something along that line.
I think
Well, I
that's
mean,
the quick claim they had. But
no. Well, right now there's stuff going on. We'll find out how this goes, but we're not doing it.
Okay.
We're not issuing the special permits on some of these where the people and the municipalities, they don't want it.
Mhm.
That's surrounding these areas. We'll see how that works, but it's if they could prove that it would be a benefit, that would be different. But really, it's just it's like a parasite, just sucking the money out of the economy.
Well, we have a good friend who's potentially going to benefit from the solar farm. And as much as, hey, I'm all for the American farmer making as much money as they can. They are a small business enterprise and good for them. But even I find he realizes the shortfalls and potential slow on.
Well, don't get me wrong. I voted for a couple, but that's where the people are okay with it.
Yeah.
So sometimes the solar company will say, "Hey, if you let us do this, we'll maintain these streets. We'll fix this stuff up. We'll donate to the charities. We'll do this and that." I say, "Okay, then I'm okay. I'll make the decisions, but I just got to listen to the constituents."
Yeah, there you go.
I think one of the biggest problems right now is you have increasing demand, data centers, people, factories, whatever.
You can say
That's
just let me do it.
With the increasing demand with all these things, but you can't build any new nuclear. You can't build any new coal. They want to phase out gas generator. Well, how else do you make electricity in the state of Illinois?
and
You get wind and solar,
I mean,
or you dip to turn your lights off.
But Dan, look, I think you got a meeting tomorrow, right?
we do.
And you can assure your constituents and the people of Will County that,
We're on your side.
yeah, all budget issues and all obligations for 2026 are going to be met. Is that true?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
If-
No services will be cut. 911 calls will go answered,
Yes.
regardless of what happens tomorrow. The 2.8 is a minute amount of that funding.
That's it.
And the responsible people on that board will find a place for that money.
As long as everybody shows up tomorrow.
Oh,
We're gonna have on 12th. So
Uh,
I actually think that there's a few Democrats, a few more Democrats that would come before.
wouldn't that be awesome? Wouldn't that be? I mean, really, wouldn't that just be great if you guys could kind of come together and do what's best for the people of Will County and agree
Does that happen very often, Dan? Or is it much party line on no matter what the issue is? And I understand
There's a
if
lot
you're
of
a member of one of the parties, and I'm not saying Democrat or Republican, the fear that you would be primaried if you went against your party leadership's dictates is a pretty powerful. Well,
I will say that, I have worked with 3 different Democrats and they've all been hassled. One was primary, one expects to be that it's an attempt to primary,
Wait, what are you saying if you don't follow the
bow down to, yeah.
what? Elaborate, Dan. This is news to me. What are you trying to say here, Dan? That there's a pecking order or get in line order or what? What do you mean?
Definitely a pecking order. I mean, the executive ones, the Democrats.
Oh.
Just no doubt.
And Republicans are a little more independent thinkers, and
Unfortunately, it's our Achilles heel.
Yep.
We're independent thinkers, and sometimes we gotta fight back and join together to be a force. And I think we have now. On this one, believe me, we have.
I think so.
Because there was a lot of arguing and stuff about this, and but they did come together. Everybody came together. I feel happy with everybody's input. Obviously, we needed one very brave, fiscally responsible Democrat to join us.
Yeah, God bless her.
Yeah.
God bless her. We're doing that the right thing. We're coming over. But when you talk about discord or heated conversations or that's America. We can have disagreement. We can disagree. But at the end of the day, you'd like to think there's some give and take. I'd always thought of a contract. Nobody should walk away from the contract 100% happy. Right? Everybody should give into a point where they're actually not happy, but then that's probably what's best for the majority.
So I can say that on the day-to-day business, and approving of bills and contracts and stuff like that, for the most part, everybody is pretty good. If one side wants to propose something with a resolution to get something different,
Okay.
it's a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
And very rare does it ever go through.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
But that's okay. Right?
well, if the executive wasn't able to break a tie, it would force both sides
to
to
negotiate.
work together and negotiate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we don't have that. We don't have that. So that I feel creates a problem. But one of the things I had for when I first got here was I thought, well, I'm going to get up there and be able to help protect our corner of the state, And then I found out that we can't do anything unless Springfield says we can. If Springfield hasn't thought about it yet, we have to go lobby someone down there so they'll think about it, they'll get a law passed, and then we could do it.
So you can't change law, Illinois law. You don't have authority over that, but you do have authority over county ordinances.
Right. We're giving some flexibility on ordinances, correct?
The board can write an ordinance, create an ordinance, pass an ordinance.
Yeah, like we probably didn't have to put 25% in our cash reserves. We could have done less, but we chose that. There's all kinds of little things, it's a big law.
Yeah. But a county ordinance to me is, you can't burn leaves in certain areas or too close to your house or, there's county ordinances that are enforceable and there are rules, there's regulations.
Right.
And they can't supersede state law or federal law.
Or even if they hadn't thought about it, you can't do that either. Just because nobody's thought about it doesn't mean you can you got to get someone else to think about it, pass that law, then you can do it.
Yeah. And when you have home rule, that would be different.
Yeah, home rule, a lot of things like, good and bad. The reason you wouldn't want to go to home rule is because you might put the power of taxing in fewer hands.
Yeah. So there is benefits to home rule. There's drawbacks to home rule. There's benefits to county executive. What would be the benefit to?
Well, I think that the benefit would
How did we get there?
had they not just, changed the law to give her the right to, the veto power and stuff like that. If she didn't have that and didn't have the, right to break a tie, and she was just an administrator, like a CEO that handled the finances of the county, and that was her job, then leave the policy making and all the other stuff to the board. That to me would have worked better.
But there was a law introduced. How did that change?
There was a woman, I think her name was Deborah Manning, so speaker for the Democrat Party, I believe out in Springfield, who, worked underneath Jennifer when she was down there, but she had that passed and basically gave the executive more power. Yeah.
Was that passed when Jennifer was in office?
Yeah. And the thing about it is, the reason that it's like so easy for them is because there's some 11 Republicans that would object to it.
So you turn this up next year.
Yes.
Are we running yet?
I am running.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. And Dan, I can just personally attest, I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate you. I respect you, for what you and the county board members do. And again, I'll give credit to all county board members. I think that's a bit of a doubt. And I'll even give credit to Jennifer for I'm sure she's negative things she's doing the right thing, but I think she missed the vote on this one. And I would welcome her here.
Mm-hmm.
I believe she's someone
Yes.
and we would welcome her to maybe explain it, but enough taxes, enough. We need to start finding places to, be responsible and fiscally responsible. If we have $100 million in the bank, I don't see any reason why we can't spend 2.8 to get us students here.
They're not going to consent.
Yeah.
And maybe the thing that makes me most sad is that the 2.8 million in the hole for next year. See how the elections go.
Well, there again, everybody who walks into that voting booth from today going forward, I can't say it enough. Elections have consequences. And I think everybody ought to remember this when they walk into that booth next year is, we're finally had people on the board that are standing up and doing the right thing. And I don't say finally. I mean, you guys have been on this for a while, but this is definitely a landmark decision where you and 11 Republicans and 1 Democrat have drawn a line in the sand and said enough. And I can assure you, you have, as far as I'm concerned, the majority of us behind you will be Christian.
And now that the board is helping us by keeping our taxes stable, it's time to start looking at your tax bill and saying, wow, 75% of this is going to the schools. Who's on the school board and what are they doing for me?
Yeah, we often talk about that in politics to kind of get off on the sideline that, people think the only people who make a difference in your life is President Donald Trump and
I don't know.
Vance. And the truth is they have so little influence on
So
your life.
idle.
Local politics, your school board members, your township commissioners, your Will County board members really affect your day-to-day life much, much more than President Donald Trump ever could or ever will. And
When you see that
start paying
property tax
attention.
bill come in, that's where it's going.
Yes, 100%.
Your school board's
School board,
biggest dent in your wallet.
Yep.
your library, all the other stuff that's on there.
Yeah. And we call out to all the good conservatives and people who are responsible, and even Democrats for that fact. If you just understand that people have had enough. This is our country. We can quit wasting money and funding Al Qaeda. And
But then I still want a road to drive on. I still want it
Yes.
plowed in the sun in the winter. I still want, there's certain things you want to have.
all 911,
You want somebody
on
there.
fire and so on. Yes.
You might recall there was quite a ruckus over a 2% tax back in the day.
Yeah.
And now we pay way more than that.
Oh my goodness. Enough is
Yeah.
enough. Dan, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for what
Yes.
you do.
Thanks
Yeah.
for having me.
Thanks for coming up here.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
We'll see you very soon.
Thank you, everybody.